I'm Ethan Clark, and I'm a first-generation farmer down in southwest Indiana. 2020, I'm going into my third season farming on my own. I did have the help of an older gentleman who helped me get into farming. I didn't have any family that farmed, but he's been like a family member to me. We, back in 2017, came to the agreement that I would work for him for free and in return get to use his equipment for free on the first 15 acres of ground that I rented. Going into the 2020 season, I am going to be right around 500 acres, and I don't say that to brag or boast. I just say that to give you a general idea of the size of my operation. So without further ado, today I'm just going to make a simple, quick video showing you around the farm. So I do still farm with the older gentleman that I started with. Now, over the years, I have started to buy some of my own equipment as well as still using some of his. But this is the shop, and there's 4 grain bins here, a dry or wet bin, and then machine shed and a few lean-tos back there. Now, moving on, this is what used to be the main horse on the farm until last spring I bought another tractor. But this is a Case 7140. It's been turned up. It's running right around 240, 250 horse. Been a very, very good tractor. It's got newer front tires on it, definitely needing some back duals. The insides are okay still, but it hasn't been cleaned up yet since fall. In fact, I've still got the scales from the grain cart in it, but it's a very good tractor. Always fires right up.
I give my heart to you, but the rest belongs to me.
Then there is the Case 5230. It's a 90 horse. It's got a 5.9 Cummins in it. A lot of you guys know that motor. Doesn't get used for a whole lot anymore. Again, it's just kind of a smaller odd and end job tractor. Then there is the Volvo Semi with a Tempty Super Hopper on it. It's nothing fancy, but it's definitely an upgrade from the old gas Chevy grain truck that I remember back in my younger days. And you can't forget the little guys as well. The best thing about these guys is they turn grass into steak. Now, no farm is complete without a row of junk buried somewhere behind the farm. So this shed is where most of the equipment's at right now. I'll turn the lights on here. This is the corn head, got that this year. Nothing fancy, 6-row, hydraulic adjust deck plates. It was a big upgrade from the old tin head with the deck plates that were actually welded solid on it, so that was nice. It had a lot of head shell. This one seemed to do a lot better this year than the old head. The combine is a New Holland TR88. It's a smaller combine, four-wheel drive though. It's been a great machine, but a very reliable machine. It's simple, easy to work on. I got to give it that. I know it needs a couple things before next harvest, but all in all, it's a great machine. It definitely needs cleaned up, but it's got just over 2,000 separator hours on it, so it's still a fairly low-houred machine. Like I said, it's not a big machine, but it has been a really good machine. So this tractor here is the 105U. It does a little bit of everything around the farm. Right now it's got forks on it. It's been feeding hay. I pull the planter with it, bush hog, cut hay, run augers. It does a little bit of everything as well. There is a disc that I wish got used less than what it does. I'm not a huge believer in discs. I think they cause a lot of compaction for what they are, but I think a disc always still has a place on the farm, but I do wish this one got less used than what it does. There is a gravity wagon that gets used every now and then, mainly just right around the farm here. We'll set it up on a swing-away auger and just dump the grain cart right into it if we're close to the farm. A friend of mine and I both we split the sprayer this year. figured it's just a way for us to do a lot of spraying in a short amount of time, rather than waiting on a retailer to come out. We've got some really good retailers in our area, but I just like the satisfaction of doing things myself if I can, cutting down on costs, especially being able to shop around on chemical pricing. So haven't actually used this sprayer yet, but picked it up this year and anxious to try that out next spring. The only time I have any intention of using that is like where the grain cart runs in and out of the field over and over and over, or semi goes, just high traffic areas that get some compaction. So this is the Landall Finish All. It's kind of my go-to tillage tool in the spring. It's just got disc blades, and then it's got the sweeps and a 5-bar harrow on the back. It just does a really good job leaving a good finish in the spring, levels ground up pretty good, just makes a really good seed bed. Now typically there would be a Case 9330 sitting there. I purchased that tractor last spring, just before last spring, and it is an articulated tractor. It's the biggest tractor on the farm right now. Not a super high horsepower tractor. It's got a few more horse than the 7140, but definitely a lot more traction. So the reason it's not on the farm right now is I sent it off and have the fuel pump and injectors all headed to Scheid Diesel right now. So it has a few more ponies under the hood. Now right here is a true blue farm four-wheeler because it's got feed buckets on it and a toolbox for electric fence. Ranching. This little blue guy here is just a little 40-horse tractor. It mows the yard, runs augers, does a little odd and end stuff. It's pretty handy to have around. And there is a Case 1845 skid steer on nice NASCAR slick tires. Doesn't get used a whole lot, but handy. Now this big rig of a planter here is a Kinsey 2000. It's a 611, so it's got 6 rows for corn and then 5 splitter rows in the front. It's a great little planter. It needs new openers before next spring, but that's a wintertime project to get done. They're great little planters, but as I grow and gain more acreage, this is one of the items on the farm that definitely is going to need to be replaced within the next few years for something that's a little bit larger. Now, it does definitely need openers before next spring, and I do plan to do that. As you can see, there's a little bit of a lip there where they're overlapping, and it doesn't just make the true V like it's supposed to. And one of the things I do plan to do by next spring is I'm going to take off all the rubber rings on the closing wheels and put on a set of Copperhead Ag, the spiked closing wheels. They're not real aggressive, but they're going to work a lot better if I do plan to no-till a little bit more next spring. About the only equipment that's not here right now is in a lean-to up the road. It's basically just the bean head grain cart, which is a J&M cart, and then the hay tools. Nothing real special up there. So that's more or less a tour of all the equipment on the farm itself. I do plan to get into a lot of field work videos, just videos around the shop, projects in addition to the everyday farm jobs and just operation in general. I'd like to hit some of the harder topics to talk about, with not only farmers but consumers, whether that be GMOs or pesticides or farming practices, fertility use, just the way we take care of land. And so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, harsh criticism, throw it out there and feel free to follow along as I start this channel. Doing all this off an iPhone, nothing fancy. So feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.